Welcome back to the deep dive. You know that sound, right? That swirling, shimmering thing that just fills a room, feels almost alive.
Mm-hmm. Like you're standing right in front of this big spinning speaker cabinet. It's magical.
Exactly. And for ages, if you wanted that sound, you needed the actual giant cabinet.
Uh,
Heavy,
oh
bulky.
yeah, a real pain.
Well, today we're going to dive into how one little pedal, uh, kind of unexpectedly, managed to capture that magic.
Right.
We're talking about the Boss RT20 rotary sound processor.
Yeah, and our mission really is to break down how it happened. We'll look at, where it came from, the tech boss used, which is pretty cool stuff, why it was such a big deal when it landed in 2005.
Right.
And maybe more importantly, why you still see it on pedal boards today, like 2 decades later. It's kind of your shortcut to understanding this real workhorse effect.
Because, I mean, for decades, getting that classic Leslie sound, the organ sound, but guitarists loved it too.
Oh, absolutely. Coveted it.
You're dealing with this massive, heavy, delicate thing. I mean, imagine trying to haul that to every single gig.
Don't have to imagine. I remember lugging a half-sized one back in the day. Still felt like moving furniture. Seriously, you almost needed a separate roadie just for the rotary cab.
Wow.
So yeah, by the early 2000s, musicians were really crying out for something easier, something portable that didn't mean sacrificing that incredible sound.
The demand was definitely there.
Totally. Players wanted that rich, 3D modulation without the literal heavy lifting. And that's exactly where the RT20 came in as part of that Boss Twin Pedal series. It was aimed right at guitarists, bassists, keyboard players, anyone who wanted that sound without the hernia.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. How do you actually shrink a giant wooden box with physically spinning speakers inside into a little metal pedal? That seems like the really tricky part, right? Where's the ingenuity?
That is the core question, isn't it? And the answer really lies in Boss's proprietary tech called CoCo-SM, Composite Object Sound Modeling.
Okay, heard of that.
Yeah, and the key thing here is it wasn't just about making a sound like a Leslie. COSM was designed to mathematically model the physics of what's happening inside that cabinet.
The physics, like how the sound moves.
Exactly. How the horn rotor and the bass rotor work, how they project sound, how that sound bounces around inside the wood, interacts with the louvers, all those complex acoustic things. It's like building a virtual Leslie in the digital world.
That sounds complicated.
It is. And
Yeah.
the detail was crucial. It wasn't just, okay, here's a spinning sound. It modeled the horn, it modeled the bass rotor. But critically, it also modeled how the speed changes.
The ramp up and slow down.
Precisely. That slow, syrupy acceleration when you kick it from slow to fast, or that gradual winding down, that's a huge part of the expressive character of a real Leslie. It's not instant.
Right, it's part of the feel.
Totally.
Yeah.
And C.O. Hessam nailed that dynamic behavior, that meticulous attention to the time-based stuff, the acceleration, the deceleration. That's what made it so convincing, so much more than just a fancy chorus or phaser.
Okay, so the CoCo-SM modeling is doing the heavy lifting, recreating the physics. But how do you, as the player, actually interact with that? What knobs and switches did Boss give us to, shape that swirl?
Right, because the tech is useless if you can't actually play it. And the RT20's controls were pretty smart, actually, very intuitive.
So what do we got?
Well, first up, you've got balance. This lets you adjust the mix between the simulated high-frequency horn and the lower-frequency bass rotor, so you can dial in whether you want it brighter, more cutting, or, warmer and fuller.
Okay, makes sense. Tailoring the core tone.
Exactly. Then there's overdrive, and this is really cool, I think. It's not just adding distortion. It's meant to emulate driving the amplifier section of a real Leslie cabinet.
Like pushing the tubes.
Yes, because players did that all the time with real Leslies to get a bit more grit and character. So the RT20 lets you dial that in, which adds a whole other layer of authenticity.
Nice.
Yeah.
What else?
Then you have speed, obviously, adjusting the rate of the rotation. But it's got distinct fast and slow modes, just like the real deal. And controlling the transition between those modes is key.
Right, the ramp.
Yeah. And that ties into another control, rise time. This one's subtle, but super important. It dictates how quickly or slowly the virtual rotors speed up or slow down when you hit the switch.
So you can have a really gradual change or something more abrupt.
Precisely. It lets you fine-tune the feel of that transition, which is massive for expression. And then there's depth.
Intensity.
Yeah, intensity of the modulation, but crucially also the stereo spread. This is vital for that big 3D sound. If you run it in stereo, the depth control really opens up that feeling of movement, like the sound is genuinely swirling around you.
That stereo aspect seems critical for this effect.
Oh, absolutely essential. If you're just running it in mono, you're honestly missing a huge part of what makes it special. That spatial movement is key.
So lots of sound shaping.
Yeah.
How did it actually connect with everything else on your board? Was it easy to integrate?
Yeah, they thought about that too. Like you just mentioned, the stereo outputs were paramount, non-negotiable for the full effect.
Got it. Stereo out.
Then, a really big one for Lev players, an expression pedal input.
Ah, so you can control the speed with your foot.
Exactly. Just like using the foot switch on an organ or a real Leslie controller, you can manually sweep the speed, swell it in and out. Adds a ton of dynamic control during a performance. That was a huge deal,
I can see that being really useful.
definitely. And they also included keyboard guitar input modes. A little switch on the back. It basically optimizes the input sensitivity and maybe some internal EQ for different types of instruments.
So they knew it wasn't just for guitarists.
Right. They understood keyboard players would want this too, maybe even bassists. It showed they were thinking about a wider audience, which was smart.
Okay, so it sounds great, it's controllable, it connects well. But there's one more thing, isn't there? Something visual that just screams RT20.
Ah, yes. You can't talk about the RT20 without mentioning the lights.
The spinning LEDs.
The spinning LED rings on the faceplate. That was, just brilliant visual design. It wasn't just for show either.
No.
Well, it looked cool, obviously, especially on a dark stage, seeing those lights swirling. Mesmerizing. But they actually represented the rotation speed of the virtual raters.
Oh, that's clever. So you can see the speed ramping up and down.
Exactly. It gave you this immediate visual feedback that was perfectly synced with the sound. It kind of reinforces that connection between what you're hearing and what you're seeing, made the effect feel even more tangible, more real. It's probably one of the most visually distinctive Boss pedals ever made because of that.
Definitely iconic. So it comes out in 2005. Boss launches it alongside some other big hitters in that twin pedal series, like the DD20 Giga Delay.
Yeah.
How quickly did people catch on? Did it find its audience fast?
It really did. Adoption was pretty swift, especially among certain groups, guitarists for sure, particularly players in blues, prog rock, psychedelic stuff.
The genres that always chase that Leslie sound anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They finally had a really convincing, reliable, and importantly, portable way to get that sound without needing a forklift. So they jumped on it.
And keyboard players, too, you mentioned.
Yep. A lot of keyboardists started using it to add that authentic rotary character to their digital organs or electric pianos.
Yeah.
Made those instruments sound, well, less digital and more alive.
Right, giving digital sources some analog-style movement.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then there were worship musicians and ambient players. They loved the lushness, that huge stereo spread for creating atmospheric textures and soundscapes. It fit perfectly for that kind of thing.
So it hit a few different niches pretty effectively.
It really did. And, looking back, the RT20 wasn't just another modulation pedal. It was one of the first times a pedal format rotary simulator really, truly nailed the Leslie experience in a way that was practical for gigging musicians. It set a benchmark.
And like you said, that visual element, the LEDs,
Yeah.
that must have made a bit of a showstopper on stage, too, not just a tool for the musician.
Oh, absolutely. That visual feedback, the spinning lights, it definitely added something for the audience. It made the effect more engaging, more dynamic to watch as well as hear. It wasn't just some mysterious sound coming out. You could see the swirl happening. It had a real wow factor.
Okay, so here's maybe the most fascinating part for me. It launched in 2005. We're talking almost 20 years ago now. And it's still in Boss's lineup, largely unchanged.
I know, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
In the world of guitar pedals, where there's a new must-have thing every 6 months, constant updates, new tech, what does that kind of longevity tell us about the RT20?
It tells us they got something fundamentally right from the very beginning. I mean, yes, other rotary pedals have come out since then. Some really fantastic boutique options, like the Neo Ventilator or the Strymon Lex.
Right, pedals that maybe aim for even higher fidelity, often at a higher price.
Exactly, and those are great pedals. But the RT20, it just keeps holding its own. Why? Because it hits this perfect sweet spot. It's built like a tank. It's a Boss pedal, after all.
Famous for durability.
Totally. It's relatively affordable compared to the boutique stuff. It sounds genuinely great, especially in stereo. And it's incredibly easy to use on stage. For a working, gigging musician, that combination is just unbeatable.
So it's the overall package, the value proposition.
I think so. It might not be the absolute 100% perfect, indistinguishable from a vintage Leslie in an anechoic chamber simulator, but it gets you like 95% of the way there in a box that won't break, is easy to power, and has those cool lights.
Huh? Don't forget the lights.
Never forget the lights. But seriously, its endurance is a testament to really solid design and understanding what musicians actually need day in, day out. It makes you ask, what does it really mean for a product to last 2 decades, virtually unchanged, and still be sought after? It means the core concept was just incredibly sound.
So wrapping this up then, we've gone from these huge, impractical spinning cabinets
A logistical nightmare.
to Boss figuring out how to model that whole complex acoustic system with COSM technology.
Yep, capturing the physics, the speed ramps, everything.
Then packing it into a pedal with intuitive controls. Balance, overdrive, speed, depth, rise time,
Giving you real hands-on shaping.
plus that essential expression pedal input and stereo out,
Critical features.
and topping it all off with those absolutely iconic spinning LEDs for visual feedback. The RT20 really did manage to bring that legendary swirl down to earth right onto our pedal boards.
It absolutely did. And I think the key thing for you listening to this is how the RT20 is such a great example of technology making classic, iconic sounds accessible. It broke down those barriers: size, weight, cost, fragility.
Democratizing the tone in our
Exactly. It put that complex, previously hard to get sound into the hands of so many more musicians. And that just fuels creativity. It lets people make music they couldn't easily make before.
So maybe the next time you're listening to a track and you hear that unmistakable three-dimensional swirling sound washing over you,
Whether it's guitar, organ, whatever.
take a second. Think about the journey that sound took. Maybe it came from a real Leslie, maybe not. But realize just how much clever engineering and thoughtful design went into pedals like the Boss RT20, specifically to make that magic accessible. Perhaps it makes you appreciate the gear behind the music just a little bit more.